Alright, welcome back everyone. Best wishes from the French Riviera. Spending a few days here before continuing our road trip to Italy. So in this video, I want to cover a very simple strategy specifically for XRP on how am I able to fund the expenses without ever selling a single XRP. Okay, so you get to keep the upside while getting access to liquidity and capital when you need to using XRP. Some people may say this is not safe, etc., but I've been in XRP since 2016. I understand how it works. I know how smart contract works. So I'm not using my main holdings for any of these things for DeFi and XRP, but definitely you can do that, no problems at all, if you understand the technical side behind how smart contracts and wrapped assets work. Okay, so as you know, DeFi House, I myself, all my channel is about DeFi, right? So we have multiple DeFi LP positions that are generating daily cash flow, right? So all of these positions, and my private portfolios are designed in a way to cover multiple strategies, and one of it to always buy XRP and lend it and use it as collateral and borrow against it. So for example, one of the position that on my portfolio is, I just took the screenshot literally 30 seconds ago before making the video. As you can see, the position is ETH versus a universal Solana on IRO, which is a base chain protocol, is generating me the rewards 5% weekly, more or less. It's not always like that. It's usually a bit of a less, towards, I would say, 2.5% in at best. It's not always 5%, right? So positions like these generate daily cash flow, right? So they generate me the yield in ETH and Solanas. The good thing about the VFAT protocol is that you can harvest the yield in any asset you want. So essentially, I always want to be getting my yield in XRPs. In some cases, I get all the yield in XRP. If I do have active loans, then I will get in most cases 50-50, a bit of XRPs and a bit of USDC. Okay, but on VFAT tool management system, I show all of this in DeFi House, by the way, just so you know, right? So it's not too advanced. So go to harvest and you can actually get these yields, the accumulated rewards, in any asset you want. So they will swap behind the scenes for you. You can do it manually yourself, of course, anytime, but it's just a very handy thing. So the cash flow that this position generates is being used to buy XRP, and for this strategy to work, you have to use the wrapped XRP. So you have to be using CB XRP, which is a Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. CB XRP, Coinbase wrapped XRP, and not BTC. So, which is essentially the same thing. It's one-to-one backed. As much as there are CB XRPs, there are as much native ones, right? And you can always convert. If you want to do this on a decentralized matter without any centralization, then you can use Flare, but it's a bit more complicated to get Flare assets bridged back to base to do this strategy. But essentially, I'm using CBXRP for this, and it works wonders, right? So you want to be using the yield that DeFi position generates you to buy more XRP and claim the fees in XRP, or if you claim in other assets, just buy CBXRP, and then you want to be sending that CBXRP to Moonwell lending protocol. Okay, so it looks like that. You basically go to moonwell.finance and you connect your wallet and you supply the assets. So I've supplied, this is my demo wallet for just videos and everything, just to show. And as you can see, I've supplied some CBXRPs here, 1.6k worth of CBXRP, and I am able to use this money as collateral. As you can see, I supplied 1.6. My limit to borrow is 1.2 pretty much, right? So now I can use that XRP to unlock liquidity without ever selling that, right? So then I borrow USDC while keeping the upside. Now this is the main core, the core element of this thing, to get to keep the upside. Because let's say you are in a situation where you have to sell some of your assets to cover some sort of a bill, payment, purchase, doesn't matter, right? So you will go to your, I don't know, ledgers, treasures, exchanges, wallets, doesn't matter, and you will sell your assets because you really have to make this payment, right? And this is a mistake. This is a very beginner's mistake for native crypto people, because in DeFi you're able to always borrow against it, against all the major assets, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Sui, XRP, many more. You're always able to borrow against it. So you can supply the assets as collateral, borrow against it, right? So what's going to happen if that price, if the price of XRP, for example, in this case, goes dramatically down, then once it reaches the threshold, so my collateral value is less or very close to my depth, in that case the Moonwell protocol will have to liquidate me and sell my XRP for me to cover its depth. So this is the a protocol safety mechanism. So the protocol does not lose money, because one kind of people supply the money, other kind of people borrow, right? And there are always smart contract rules that says, okay, if this guy don't have enough collateral, sell that collateral to cover his debt, right? So this is like the basics of DeFi lending and borrowing. So then essentially what's going to happen, if XRP starts to go massively down, you're going to get liquidated, and part of your collateral will get sold to cover your debt, which is the same thing as you just sold anyway, right? But what's going to happen if it goes to the upside? So you get to keep the upside, because now I borrowed $500, right, in USDC, as you can see. But if XRP decides to go up to $4, $5, $6, $1 million, doesn't matter, right? I get to keep this upside, because all of these XRPs deposited here will increase in value. So this will be not 1.6k, this will be, let's say, 4k, 5k, 7k, doesn't matter, right? So I get to keep the upside, because as soon as I repay my debt, right, I will get to withdraw all of my XRPs, as you can see right here, withdraw. So I can withdraw the XRP with increased value. So this is the best thing about DeFi and understanding these things, because there is no point to sell any of your assets. There is no point. You can always borrow against them as much as you want. In most cases, up to 80-85% of your collateral value, you can borrow instead of selling. And if it goes down, you will get liquidated, it will sell for you. Okay, you wanted to do that anyway. But if it goes up, you get to keep the upside. So this is the strategy, very simple. You deploy into DeFi LP positions that are generating high yield, stable but high yield, and one of that position is if you sol, a universal sol, okay, then you use the cash flow that this position generates to buy or to claim in CBXRPs, okay, in CBXRP. Then you send that XRP to Moonwell and borrow against it when you need to. That's it. So you get your USDC, you can borrow right here. You can borrow here, get your USDC to the wallet, spend it or use it however you want to use it, and just and that's it. And you will have your debt hanging here, and you can repay it anytime by using the yield you generate or outside income, or just don't repay it at all and just wait for the XRP to go up and then withdraw part of the available XRPs that are not in collateral, withdraw a bit, enough to cover the debt, and withdraw the rest. Simple as that. You are always in control. You don't have to repay this on a monthly, daily basis. You can repay it anytime you want. So I have this position and this just as a demo to show people how it works, because I'm constantly showing these things to a lot of, especially more elder people, because they're really interested in the fact that I hold crypto and I can use it to make more money. Wow. So that's why I have all of these wallets that I show on the videos and for others as well. So this is a very simple strategy, guys, and this applies not just to XRP. This applies to everything, to ETH, Bitcoin, to any asset. Just don't sell it. There is no point to sell it, because in case it goes up, you get to keep that upside. If it tanks down, okay, you will get liquidated, which is the same thing as you sold anyway before, right? So this is a very good thing to utilize across DeFi positions and DeFi protocols, right? And keeping this flywheel, you generate yield. The yield is used to buy more assets that you borrow against them, and in case it goes up, you get to keep the upside. In case it goes down, you will get liquidated, the same thing as you would claim the yield and sell it to USDC and use it elsewhere, right? So just the same thing with increased benefits, because you keep the upside. So this is an amazing, very simple, very basic. We have a lot of cars driving, sorry for the noise, but you have a lot of, this is a very basic strategy. We have a lot more in detail covering inside the DeFi house, but this is very simple but very powerful. The concept of never selling your assets. There is no point. When you understand DeFi, there is no point to sell your assets. You can always borrow against them. Okay, so hopefully this video will be beneficial, as it was for me when I understood these things years ago, and I've been utilizing that ever since. So once again, thank you. I will see you inside the DeFi house, and of course on the next video.